everyone. I am Alicia Thomas, the Executive Director of the Virginia Quilt Museum, and I am here tonight to go over the call for entries for Stitching Together History, specifically how you apply for the call for entries. So we are going to go through that process together, and I will be very honest that I haven't done this before, so we're going to learn together. And once this is done, this recording will go up on YouTube so that you guys can all watch it and hopefully get some of your questions answered. And we will go from there. So I'm going to share a different screen. So you can get to the call for entries a couple of different ways. One, you can go to the VQM website, which is vaquiltmuseum.org. And up here at this top, you'll see Stitching Together History. If you go there, you're gonna see a whole bunch of information. There's kind of our general blurb about it, then down here there's call for entries, themes, resources, all sorts of things. If you go to the call for entries, just click on this blue button that says apply now, and that's going to take you to callforentry.org, who is hosting the call for entries for us. You can also just go to callforentry.org and find the call there. Once you get here, the first thing you want to do is log in. And my confusion here is I have both an artist and an admin login, and I want to make sure I am logging in to the artist login. So if you just go to callforentry.org and go to login, it'll let you choose. Most of you are not going to have an admin login unless you work for an arts organization that is also hosting calls for entries. But for this, you're going to want an artist login. If you do not have one, you can create a login and an account on callforentries.org. It is completely free. It just asks for your basic, email, mailing address, that sort of thing. You have to set up a password. Select that you're not a robot, assuming you're not a robot. And then I will also say Call for Entry Cafe has really good help. So this Cafe help, if you have questions, that's a really good place to start out as well. And as you can see here, there are 3 steps to applying for a call for entry. The first is you need to set up your portfolio. That's where you're going to upload your artwork. So in this case, for Stitching Together History, this is where you'll upload your quilts. And then you'll apply for a call, and then you'll check out. So we're going to go into my portfolio. You can see here, I've already uploaded a couple of photos. I'm going to use those as some examples, but we'll also go ahead and go through the process of adding more. Just so you know, and being very honest here, I do not make my own art. So the things I'm uploading here are all quilts from our collection at the museum. So some of them you may recognize. So once you go to add to media, you're going to be adding images. Images are the only type of media that we are looking for in our call for entry for Stitching Together History. So you'll just want image. And then on your computer, find the image you're looking for. So I already had mine set up where I wanted them. This is the artwork title is going to be the title of your piece. So whatever you have decided to name your quilts. This is a Lone Star quilt by Hazel Carter. It is quilted textile. Your medium is what type of art it is. And then here, height and width. Do remember that we do have a size requirement for stitching together history. So your quilt should be 20 by 20 inches. So that's what I'm going to put in here. The real size of this quilt is not that. It's a quilt, it's a flat object, so it doesn't have depth per se. And this artwork is not for sale. You do not have to put a value on it if your artwork is not for sale. The year completed, I don't actually remember when Hazel completed this, so I'm just going to put down this year. Most of you will be putting down 2024. Primary discipline, there's fiber art and textiles in here. Choose whichever you like, that's not going to matter for us. Art in public places, your answer is going to be no to this. This is if you made a piece of art that was like a call for a government or something like that. It doesn't apply to us. It's just a default form that call for entry has here. Description, you can write a description here if you want. If you wanted to say blue pieced quilts with large star. Whatever you like to write there. There is a place later in the application where we'll specifically be asking for more details. So don't worry if you can't fit everything in here in this 300 characters. And then you just click add to portfolio. And this is a good thing. This is why we're doing this, to see what things pop up. So that image is too small, which is a little bit shocking. We're going to try a different one and see if it will accept that. All right, it's also not going to accept that. So we're going to see what other photos I have easily accessible that we can use. Not at all the quilt, but this is going to work for this process to get us through this. And now I've chosen the wrong file type. We'll see if it'll just accept this logo. Yes, there we go. So we're just going to use our Stitching Together History logo for this. This is also a great place to say, this is a good reason to start this process at least a few days before the deadline to submit pieces. So the deadline to get your submission in is September 30th of 2024. So please start this a few days ahead of time in case you run into any problems like this, where your picture is not the size that you want. You just have technical difficulty. Heaven forbid that a storm comes through and knocks out your internet. There are just so many things. So give yourself a couple of days grace. So now this looks very strange because none of these things match this, but we're going to ignore that for this. So now that we have pieces in my profile and in my portfolio, you can see we've got the 3 images here. We're going to go up here and go to apply to calls. And then you need to find the call that you want to apply for. So we know the name of this call is Stitching Together History. So just search for Stitching Together. Also, if you search quilt, it's going to come up. Some others will also come up. I think also probably if you search Virginia, it will come up, or Virginia quilt, it will come up. So here it is. Here is the full call. You can see here the entry deadline of September 30th. You still have 208 days. I'm recording this on March 6th, so you've got a lot of time. Number of applications allowed is 3. And what that is you can submit up to 3 pieces. For each quilt that you submit, you need to do a whole new application. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. There is an entry fee of $40. That $40 covers 1 or up to 3 quilts. So no matter how many you submit, 1, 2, or 3, it's still just a $40 entry fee. You have to submit 2 images. So we need a full shot of your quilt, and then we also need a detailed shot. And then over here, eligibility is national. The actual event dates are the dates of the exhibition, so that's not until 2026. The jurying dates are when we'll be going through all of the submissions and making the decisions. So you will find out by November 9th. I encourage you to read all of this information, especially the quilt requirements. Here's where we've got the size, 2-dimensional works only, requirements for the hanging sleeve, what we need on your label on the back of the quilt. My favorite thing that I keep telling everyone, no work with glitter will be accepted. If we get 1 quilt with glitter, we're going to end up with 250 quilts with glitter, and then I'm going to have a lot of people mad at me. So don't do that to me. No sharp or pointed embellishments. So nothing that could potentially hurt another quilt if they're stacked together. And no highly fragile work. If you have 150-year-old lace, this is maybe not the place to use it. Here are also just some of the image requirements and a really good link to an article on SAQA's website about how to successfully photograph your art quilts. A little bit of the timeline again. Shipping, you are responsible for getting your pieces to and from the museum. So we will let you know by November 9th if your piece is accepted, and then we need those pieces by December 1st. And I know that sounds like a long lead time, but with the Hopeful book, we need to have the quilts in our possession so that we can photograph them and work on the book and work on the exhibit, because exhibiting 250 quilts is going to be a big thing as well. We will ship the quilts back to you and then invoice you for the shipping. We will ship them back in new boxes. We can't store packing material for as long as we will have the quilts. And quilts also have to be shipped back to a United States address. We cannot deal with international shipping for this many pieces. Also, please note that you are responsible for ensuring your piece while it is with us. That is just to cover all of us. Jurors are the members of the Advisory Committee for Stitching Together History. You can find the whole list of them right through this link. It'll take you back to the VA Quilt Museum website. And then here is a list of the things that we are going to fill out as we get through this application. And so we'll go over those as we go through them. Eligibility. Everyone is welcome to apply. You must reside within the United States. You can submit up to 3 pieces. And again, here, if you're submitting more than 1 piece, you should submit a separate application for each one. And so then down here at the bottom, you want to go to view rules and terms and apply. This is our legal agreement saying that you agree to loan your artwork to the museum. You agree that your artwork is original and does not violate any copyright or trademark laws, and also giving us permission to use images of it in the book and the exhibition and publications and advertisings. So we go to apply now. Again, this is going to come back up. click agree. If you don't agree, you're not going to be able to apply. And so this is where we start adding information. So the first thing you're going to want to do is select which of your 4 categories you believe your quilt fits in. So if you are doing a person, it probably goes in We the People, although it could go in Unfinished Revolutions. Power of Place if you're doing something related to landscape. Virginia Experiments if you're doing something that was invented or an inventor here in Virginia. We're just going to go ahead and pick Unfinished Revolutions. And then here you have a space to write your artist statement. And your artist statement, and we say this here, should focus on you as an artist and not on the specific piece that you're creating. So here's where you can tell us how long you've been quilting, why you started quilting, anything like that. You have a 1,000 character limit. Do not feel like you need to use all 1,000 characters. If you write a couple of sentences, that would be great. We're not looking for a full biography, but we would like some basic information. So something along the lines of, I've been quilting and creating art since I was 20 years old. I work mostly with applique, and I do hand quilting. You guys can tell I'm clearly making this up as I go along. This is one of the things that you can go ahead and start writing now, even if you haven't started working on your quilt. One of the things I'm hoping to get up on our website in the next week or two is just a really simple Word document that has all of these questions so that you guys can download them and start working on them before you get into the call for entries so that you know what all we're looking for. So go ahead and write your artist statement here. If you already have a written artist statement, great. Just copy and paste it in there. Techniques. One of the great things about call for entries is these little yellow, orangish question marks. If you click on those, it's going to give you a little bit of an explanation of what we're looking for in that box. And so for techniques, we're really looking for the technique that you use to make this piece that you're submitting. So was it raw edge applique? Is it pieced? Is it machine quilted, hand pieced? Any of those things. If you're embroidering, if you are, I'm trying to think of other techniques you could be using. If it's machine applique, hand applique, any of that, put that in here. The next box is going to ask you for materials, so you don't need to list like hand dyed fabrics in here. Those will go under materials. So we're going to say for this that it is a hand quilted, machine pieced, raw edge applique. Try to be as correct with your spelling as you can, but if your piece is accepted, we will proofread all of this information before it goes in an exhibit or in a book or anything. So by no means do not freak out if you spell something wrong. We will double check everything, but try and get it as good as you can for us. Materials used, same thing, you click on the little question mark. And this is where you can tell us about all the materials you're using. So if you are using hand-dyed cottons, maybe you're doing some silk thread in your embroidery. Really, whatever materials you're using. If you want to include the type of batting you're using, you can. That part batting isn't super important, but some people like to include it. The next up is we're asking you to please list the thing or person that's represented in your quilt. And for this one, we're looking for very short answers here. You still have 1,000 characters. I couldn't limit it any farther than that. If I could, I would have limited it to about 500 characters at the absolute most, probably more like 250. So here's where we're really looking for, if it's a person, just their name, if it's an event, the name of the event. So maybe you're doing the 2023 wildfire in Shenandoah National Park. I'm blanking on what the name of that wildfire was at the moment. If you could remember the name, go ahead and put that in there. Or if you are doing, say, George Washington or Martha Washington, or both of them, just put their names in here. So this one, we're looking for a very short answer. The next question is, why do you think it's important to commemorate this person, place, event, idea, or thing from Virginia or West Virginia history? Also, a good reminder, West Virginia history is being included in this because once again, until 1863, West Virginia was part of Virginia. And so this is really where we're looking for you to tell us why you picked this topic. So why did this speak to you? Do you really love history and you wanted to commemorate the person that you picked? Do you really love nature and so you wanted to make sure that people knew about the plant that you picked that's native to Virginia? Again, you've got 1,000 characters. 1,000 characters sounds like a lot. It's not a whole ton, actually. That's characters counts everything. It counts spaces, periods, commas, all punctuation. So just be mindful of that. If you're writing this out in another document, if you're writing it out in a Word document or in a Google Doc, there are ways in both where you can change your word count to a character count. It's pretty easy to do. If you're in Word, just down at the bottom where it says word count, right click on it and you can change it to character count. In Google Docs, you've got to find it from the tools menu, I believe. But here we'll just continue with George Washington was the first president of the United States. You can see right there that very simple sentence is 62 characters. So a paragraph or a paragraph and a half to 2 paragraphs is going to get you to 1,000 characters really quickly. And again, you don't have to reach 1,000 characters. We're looking for some information here. We want to know why you think this is important and why you chose this topic. I clearly did not think out these answers ahead of time. You guys are just seeing how my brain works here. The next question is, would you like your piece to be considered for acquisition into the Virginia Quilt Museum's permanent collection? I'm just going to go ahead and read this for you. The Virginia Quilt Museum will select a small number of quilts from this project to be added to our permanent collection. The number of quilts in the selection process is still being determined. We unfortunately do not have room to keep and care for all 250 quilts that are going to be selected for this. So we're still working through how we're going to select the number that we want to keep and how we'll select which ones we want to keep. If you select no, that is completely fine. It is not going to affect your submission into the exhibition at all. If you want your quilt back, by all means, put no in here. If you say no, your quilt will be returned to you at the end of the exhibition. If you select yes, and your quilt is one of the small handful that's selected to go into the permanent collection, we will then follow up with you once that selection is made, and there will be some more paperwork we have to do. We have to get a deed of gift giving us legal ownership of the quilt. If you select yes, that you do want your piece to be considered and it is not picked, it will also then be returned to you. So, and this is something we're asking for your answer now, but if you change your mind a year or 2 years down the road, since this is a long-term project, we're not going to be mad at you. So just know that this answer is just something that we're just asking you for, but it does not affect your entry into the exhibition at all. It's just some information we're collecting at this point. And the next piece is this piece of collaboration. So did you work on this with anyone else? If you say yes, another little box is going to pop up and we're going to ask you to list out everyone that you collaborated with. So if you did all of the piecing, but someone else did all of the quilting, that is a collaboration. Please list the quilter on here. So you would put down Martha Washington quilted the piece. Alicia Thomas, oops. Pieced the quilt. That simple. If you select no, this box will not pop up and you can just carry on to the next one. This little button, save. Oh, we've got some errors. It's probably that I haven't uploaded any of my samples yet. Yeah. So you can see here, this is my portfolio. So there are the three images that I uploaded in my portfolio. You guys saw me upload this one, and these I had already uploaded before I started recording. So you can see here in our requirements images, we have a minimum and a maximum of 2. We've made it really, really easy on you. We do request that one of those, not request, we require that one be a full-size image of your entire quilt, and then other be a detail shot. So we're going to go ahead and select these 2. That's a full image of a quilt, and that's a detail from that quilt. Now we're going to click save. And you can see here it says my entry is ready for submission. We're going to ignore that I'm ready to check out yet. We're going to poke around a little bit more. So you can see here it says, if submitting a body of work, you may reorder work samples below prior to checkout. I would encourage you to make the one that is number 1, the image of the full quilt, and then number 2, the detail. That's just going to help myself and the other jurors on the back end look at things a little bit more easily. We're going to go to view preview. And this is going to let you review everything you wrote. So you can see all of my information there. We're going to scroll past that. You can see the category you selected, your artist statement. Clearly your artist statement will be longer. The techniques used, the materials used, the person, why it's important. Again, this will be longer. Yes, I'd like it considered for acquisition. Yes, it was a collaboration. And then here are the 2. Go back to the entry and you can edit anything. And again, save application. Once you're ready, you can go ahead and go, I am ready to check out. And this is where you will pay. So for the first entry, it is $40. And like I said, it's $40 covers 1, 2, 3 quilts. So we have coupon codes for when you do your second and third submittal. So I will share those coupon codes. I don't have them with me right now, so I can't tell them to you off the top of my head. But we'll make sure that they are out there. You can also just email me at director@vaquiltmuseum.org and I can share them that way for your second and third entry so that you're not charged the $40 fee 3 times. You're going to go to checkout. And then you would add your payment. You can pay either via card or PayPal and submit your payment. I'm not going to submit a payment because I'm not actually submitting this very made up application. So that is how the call for entries on Cafe works. I'm just going to show you some of their help sections. So they have really good help articles. They've got really good videos. It's probably better than this video you're watching of me. So please feel free to use these. There is information about how to upload all of your work samples. Uploading your media. This is really helpful information. Images, JPEG or JPG files only. The dimension sizes, the file sizes, all that sort of thing. So please take a look, poke around in here. I'm happy to answer any questions and help you work through anything you may have. If you have any specific questions about our specific call for entries, so what we're looking for in an answer to a question, please feel free to reach out to me. If it's something a little bit more technical, I would start with Cafe's help section. So that is a quick look at the call for entries and how you apply. Reminder, the deadline is September 30th, so you do have plenty of time, 200 some days. But again, please don't start your application on September 30th. I know everyone's going to apply in September. That is fully what we expect. But don't wait until the very last day. Like I said, you never know when internet's going to go out or your computer's going to crash or your files aren't going to work. If you've ever applied for a grant, think of it much like that. You want to give yourself a couple of days grace to make sure that nothing goes wrong with technology. Technology is great when it works. It's super frustrating when it doesn't work. And there won't be really anything I can do to help you with that. So thank you so much. I hope you are having fun thinking about your quilt and what you want to make. If you have any questions, please let me know. My email is director@vaquiltmuseum.org. You can find it on our website under About Us. You can see a little bit about me and find it on there. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good time working on your quilts, and I hope submitting them is not too painful, and have a great rest of your day.